My name is Bernice, and this is an introduction to JavaScript. And it is, I am reviewing older material that I learned. I had recently graduated with a web development degree, and I was going through the HTML and CSS course with that, and then I went back and reviewed some old information I had on it, and this is the old JavaScript that I had, and it is not the course yet. I will be going through that after, but right now I am going to do several JavaScript videos on just reviewing old material first, and then I will go through the new courses I've taken because I spent a lot of time on JavaScript the last couple years. So this is just and this is not actually where I first began because I did got a master's degree and I did take web development in that master's course. And in that, I did Java servlets, and I used some CSS, some JavaScript, and HTML. So those there also. So this isn't like the very beginning of my JavaScript journey, but this is part of the journey. So with that, so what is JavaScript? So HTML provides the structure and the content for the web page, and CSS styles the page. And then what JavaScript does, it is the programming language of HTML on the web where it's used to program the behavior of the web pages. So it makes them dynamic so that you can interact with them. There is just a little bit you can do with CSS, but you really need to get JavaScript to make it interactive and to communicate with the servers. So, let's see. JavaScript code must be inserted so in the HTML file, you can insert JavaScript into the file using the script tags. And you can place any number of scripts in the HTML document, and they can be placed in the body or in the head section of the HTML page, or in both. So in the last video, on CSS that we did, the first CSS video, you can put CSS in 3 different locations. In the head section, you can link to the file, or you can put CSS code there. You can put CSS inline in HTML, or you can have it in a separate body, in a separate file. And then the same with JavaScript, not exactly the same, but you can put a link to a JavaScript file, or you can put the script in there in the head section, or in the body section, or in any of those places. So this is an example of the Hello World document. The Hello World is an HTML file, and in here, this is just all uppercase, just only because of the slide I was using. It's just doing uppercase text, but you would want to use lowercase and then this is Visual Studio Code. And not going to go over installing it or anything, but I have this. And so I like Visual Studio Code. I have different plugins, but you can actually, let's see, that added another tag there. You can, if it's like, you're supposed to be indenting this on here. So if we do format document, so document type and HTML are both okay at that level, but inside the HTML, you want to indent 2 spaces, and this will indent or tab. You want to be consistent with both, and then you want to be consistent with that. So the whole body section is right here, and nested in the body, you have some different elements here, the H2, and then you have a paragraph. And in this paragraph here, we're giving it the ID of demo, and then we're giving this is the content of it. And then we have a button. This is HTML button, giving it a type of button. And then this is on click equals, and this is going to document.getElement by ID. It's getting the demo one, and then it's going to change to inner HTML. The inner HTML is this here, and it's going to change it hello world. And it does it on the click me. So that is demo. This is JavaScript that's going to change this. This is calling document dot get element by ID. So this is JavaScript. And if we show the preview, it changes it. Go back to the slides here. So this is JavaScript functions and events. A JavaScript function is a block of JavaScript code that can be executed when called. And so a function can be called when an event occurs, like when the user clicks a button. External JavaScript, you can also create external files, and external scripts are practical when the same code is used in many different web pages. And the extension would be .js. And to use the external script, you would have to put a link to it, with the source and attribute. So this is an example. So script source equals myscript.js, and then the closing script tag. So this is going to be the file, the myscript.js is going to be a separate file with the JavaScript in it. And this is what all it has in it right now is this function. So it's calling it it's a function, and the name of the function is my function. And then this is what it's calling document.getElement by ID demo inner.html, and then the paragraph changed. So there are different data types in JavaScript. So it can be, some of the types are numbers, strings, objects, and there's more. You don't have to tell it what type of variable it is. JavaScript will figure that out. So we have var length equals 16. That's a number. And then var last name equal Johnson. That's a string. And then var x first name John, last name Doe. That's going to an object is with the first name and the last name. JavaScript evaluates expressions from left to right. So then an example, var x equals 16 plus 4 plus Volvo. It's going to go from left to right. So it adds 16 plus 4, which is 20. And then since that's a number and Volvo is a string, it's just going to concatenate, which like joins them together. So you have 20 Volvo. And then this is, if we switch back over here, if we put in the var length, then a number, a string, and this is an object, we're gonna using console.log with the type of each one to show, this would show you what type it is. And so we run it with node and then the name of the file. So it's a number, a string, and an object. Yeah. So it did figure those out correctly, but that we didn't have to tell it that it was a number, a string, and an object. So the JavaScript has dynamic types. It means that the same variable can be used to hold different data types. So if we first define something like var x, if we didn't, if we just do var x and we don't tell it what it equals, then it's undefined. And then once we set it equal to something, we set it equal to 5, it would be a number. If we set it equal to John, it would then be a string. So it changes types. It's dynamic. It's not stuck with the original type that it was. Let's see. A string or a text string is a series of characters. They can be written in quotes. You can use single or double quotes. And an example is the name of a car name, and then that one's using double quotes. And over here, there's one using single quotes. So you can use single or double. JavaScript types. So we have JavaScript numbers. There's only one type of number. It's a number, and it can be written with or without decimals. So you could have 34.00 or just 34. And extra large or extra small numbers can be written with scientific exponential notation. And that is an example using exponent notation there for the large and small numbers that are extreme. And then Booleans can only have two values. It could be true or false. They're often used in conditional testing. So var x equals 5, var y equals 5, and var x equals 6. If you were to try to use a conditional statement with the x equals y, it's going to return true. Or if you use z, it's going to return false because 5 is not equal to 6. JavaScript objects are written with curly braces. The object properties are written as name value pairs separated by commas. The object person in the example below has 4 properties: first name, last name, age, and eye color. So there's a var person with the first name, last name, the age, and the eye color. The type of operator, I showed you that already. You can use the JavaScript type of operator to find the type of a JavaScript variable. The type of operator returns the type of the variable or expression. So those are some examples there. Undefined. In JavaScript, a variable without a value has the value undefined. The type of is also undefined. So an example of var car, the value is undefined and the type is undefined. Any variable can be emptied by setting the value to undefined, and the type will also be undefined. So car equals undefined, the value is undefined, and the type is undefined. The type of operator, let's see, we had that. Let's see. And then JavaScript types, there is null type, and a null type is nothing. It doesn't exist, and unfortunately, JavaScript, the data type of null, is an object. So you can empty an object by setting it to null. So var person, you give them the first name, last name, eye color, age, and then you set it to null. The value is null, but the type is still an object. So variable scope. Scope determines the accessibility, the visibility of the variables. So in JavaScript, there are two types of scope: local scope and global scope. Local variables have a function scope, and they can be accessed from within the function. So in this example, the code here cannot use the car name because you have let's see, my function var car name equals Volvo, and then inside the function. So inside the function, you can use that variable, but you can't use it outside of it because it's declared inside the function. So variable scope, the global variables, they're declared outside of function and it becomes global. There it has global scope and all scripts and functions on a web page can access it. So that's if you have the var car name equals Volvo, and then inside the function, you can also access that global variable. Type conversion is a process of converting a value from one type to another, such as a string to a number, object to Boolean. So there's implicit and explicit. Implicit, the values can be converted between different types automatically. Explicit is converting types by writing the code, so such as number, and inside the number in parentheses is the value. So explicit is string, and then we're want to convert the number 123 to a string. If we did 123 plus, let's see, so the string 123, you would set it equal to, I'll show you this in the Visual Studio Code. So if you set var y equals string 123, and then you have var z equals 123 plus, this is just it's like two single quotes. It's just like an empty string. So it's going to convert that number to a string also. So when I ran that again, it shows it as here that y and z are going to be strings. So there is a strict equality operator, and this is the stronger way to test things. It's going to check for both the data type and the value. So it would be equals, equals, equals. So 77 does not equal the 77 that's in single quotes. The loose equality operator just checks the value only. So if you did the same thing with equals, it would evaluate to true because it does not check the data type. Functions, a JavaScript function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. A JavaScript function is executed when something invokes it, calls it, and the syntax is an example is the function and then the name, and then you have the parameters, and then inside the curly braces, you have the code. So this is an example function, my function. You have P1 and P2, and inside the curly braces, it's going to return P1 times P2. A function expression, JavaScript allows us to assign a function to a variable and then use that variable as a function. It's called function expression. So var add equals the function sum, value 1 and value 2, and then in the curly braces we have return the value 1 plus value 2. So var result 1 add 10 and 20, and var result 2 is showing an invalid sum of 10, 20. Anonymous function is JavaScript allows us to define a function without any name. This unnamed function is called anonymous function, and anonymous function must be assigned to a variable. So var show message function, and then we're just going to alert. It's going to display the message on the screen and show the message. Let's see. It calls the show message, and then var say hello function first name, alert hello plus first name and show message, and then say hello Bill. Callback functions. These are callback function uh, is a function that is to be executed after another function has finished executing. And in JavaScript, functions are objects, and functions can take functions as arguments. Functions that do this are called higher order functions. and function that is passed as an argument is called a callback function. So this is the function do homework subject callback use. These are called template literals. They're like it is like the back tick on the keyboard. You have to use the correct one for it to work. Alert starting my and then subject and homework, and then the callbacks, and then alert finished my homework, and then so do homework calls it, we're passing it math, and we're passing it the alert finished, which is the callback function. Self-invoking function is iffy, IIFE, immediately invoked function expression. It is a JavaScript function that runs as soon as it is defined. Closures. JavaScript variables can belong to the local or global scope. Global variables can be made local or private with closures, and a closure is a function having access to the parent scope even after the parent function has closed. This is an example of a closure, and the self-invoking function only runs once. It sets the counter to 0 and returns a function expression. This way, add becomes a function. The wonderful part is that it can access the counter in the parent scope. This is called a JavaScript closure. It makes it possible for a function to have private variables. In strict mode, you can use strict mode in all your programs. It helps to write cleaner code. It prevents you from using undeclared variables. Use strict is all you would have to, you just like that in the double quotes and a semicolon. Defines JavaScript code should be executed in strict mode. So it would throw an error if something is not declared correctly. This keyword, the JavaScript, this keyword refers to the object it belongs to. This has different values depending on where it is used. So alone, this refers to the global object. In a function, this refers to the global object. In a function in strict mode, this is undefined, and in an event, this refers to an element that received the events. So this is an example of this keyword. That's it for the JavaScript intro, and that was a lot, and I'll have to go over those functions again in a later video, but that just gets the some of the basics out of the way. Thank you. I wish you a great day.